Welcome to Stephen FM AI, Ireland's Daily Digest. Today, we're going to connect the dots between a few recent headlines that, when you put them together, they paint a pretty worrying picture. And it all leads to one massive question. Are Ireland's institutions actually working? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a number. 9. Just 9 minutes. That's the total number of minutes that politicians in Northern Ireland's Assembly have spent on actual legislative debate so far this year. I'm not kidding. 9 minutes.
You know, a single number like that raises a huge question, doesn't it? When a government basically stops governing, it creates this vacuum. And what we're starting to see in Ireland is that chaos, danger, and just plain dysfunction are rushing in to fill that void. So, crack number 1 in the foundation is right there in Stormont. We're talking about a government that is effectively on a permanent coffee break while the country's actual infrastructure is crumbling around it. This really says it all. I mean, you've got these vital, decade-old health reforms like the Bengoa report just gathering dust. Meanwhile, MLAs have spent more time debating the TV show The Traitors and the whole concept of Blue Monday than they have on, actually passing laws. You just can't make this stuff up. And look, this isn't just some kind of political theater. This in action, it has terrifying real-world consequences, as public trust just completely evaporates. As BT News put it, the feeling on the ground is simple. The system is broken. And that paralysis leads us directly to our second crack, a legal system that's so outdated, it is completely failing to protect women from very modern, very real digital forms of assault. So, over in County Tyrone, a man is alleged to have used artificial intelligence to take innocent photos of local girls and women and turn them into sexually explicit naked images. I mean, it's a disgusting act by any measure, but this is exactly where the system fails them. And here's the problem. Because Stormont hasn't bothered to update the laws, creating these deepfake images of children is a crime, sure, but there is no specific legislation for doing the exact same thing to adult women. So the suspect could literally escape prosecution for dozens of these images, all because our laws just haven't caught up with technology. This is the human cost, a mother describing the man who allegedly targeted her daughter as a danger, who is still walking amongst us. See, this institutional failure isn't some abstract concept. It has a face and a voice. And this dysfunction, it isn't just limited to the legislature. It's happening inside our own national bodies, too.
Our third crack appears inside Met Éireann, where an internal civil war between forecasters led to completely chaotic communication right in the middle of a national flood crisis.
Think about this. While parts of the country were literally underwater during Storm Chandra, the housing minister came out and publicly accused the National Weather Service of hoarding critical data. That is an absolutely extraordinary breakdown of trust between government departments during an emergency. And here's why it was happening. Sources inside Met Éireann describe this festering resentment, this infighting between general forecasters and the flood experts, and it led to conflicting warnings. So while people were being rescued from their homes, Met Éireann's social media was actually downplaying the event. When your experts are at war with each other, it's the public that pays the price. So let's just pause here for a second. We have a government that has stopped governing. We have laws that have fallen behind reality. And we have state experts who can't even agree on basic facts during a crisis. You see, these aren't separate stories. They're all symptoms of a much deeper systemic illness. And all this internal weakness, well, it makes the whole system vulnerable. Our fourth crack shows a government so fragile that its core policies can be totally reversed in just a matter of days by a little external pressure. Just look at how quickly this policy completely crumbled. On a Monday, you've got the finance minister stoutly defending a new business tax, but after just 2 days of pressure from these so-called business big beasts, the entire policy was scrapped by Thursday, just gone. Now, let's be really clear here. This isn't really about tax policy. It's about weakness. It sends a signal that this government can be rolled by pretty much any interest group that just shouts loud enough. And this weakness at home is now colliding with instability around the globe. And the final crack we're looking at today shows how the potential return of Donald Trump is already starting to fracture Ireland's own ruling coalition. Instead of a united front, we're actually seeing public clashes. You have the Taoiseach urging caution, while his coalition partner wants to be more assertive. They're tugging in different directions, and is devolving into what one source called parish pump rivalry, right when the world is at its most uncertain.
And the result, a divided government that can't seem to form a coherent plan to face the major economic threats that are right on the horizon, like a potential trade war. So while our leaders are bickering, the storm clouds are gathering. So, when you put it all together, a really clear and dangerous pattern starts to emerge. This isn't just one bad week of news, folks. These are 5 distinct cracks, and they're all spreading through the very foundations of the state. It starts with that legislative paralysis. That, in turn, creates vulnerability, leaving citizens unprotected. At the same time, our expert bodies are being weakened by infighting. This makes the government weak and susceptible to pressure, which then leads to division at the very top when they're faced with any external stress. It's a cascade of failure.
Seeing it all laid out like this, I really want to know what you think. Of all these issues, the political paralysis, the legal loopholes, the infighting, the weakness, which one do you see as the biggest threat right now? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you find these deep dives valuable, please make sure to subscribe. Ultimately, all of these stories force us to ask a final, pretty sobering question. Are the systems we rely on for our safety, our laws, and our economy, are they actually built to withstand the pressures of today? The evidence? Well, it suggests they are far more fragile than we might like to believe. And that's the latest from Stephen FM, AI, Ireland's Daily Digest.